This is my 2003 Nissan 350Z. Currently jacked up in the rear on jack stands. I have a lovely True Focus fabrication front bash bar with a tow point. I have Rev 9 coilovers. They're on the cheaper side, but I enjoy them. I think they're fine. Some Odan, however you pronounce that. 5-spoke wheels. Cheapest ones I could find that I liked just to get started. Didn't want to tear up something expensive. Let's see. Interior. We have NRG bucket seat, shift knob. Let's see, a D&D red suede wheel. We got a cruise control relocation kit from GKTech. I just mounted a GKTech hydro assembly here. I have the line routed back. It's teed in the rear. So it comes up into the factory plastics. It comes out the plastic at the bottom, goes through the chassis of the car itself. Back here to the T, I utilized a factory grommet on this side there, and I did have to drill a hole and mounted a grommet there. Be very careful when you do that. I had to floss it between fuel filler neck and the evap lines and all kinds of very important stuff you would have a bad time if you drill into. So I took measurements on the bottom of the car, came up to the top, took another measurement, used that factory grommet as my focal point there, and based all my measurements off of that, and it came out really good. I also used a center punch to kind of dent the floor downward just to double check, make sure I was in the right spot. Other than that, I bought the car with a unpainted factory bumper there, and it was really ugly. And I mean, the silvers are pretty close, but silver's hard to match. But I got this whole bumper with the lights for $35 out of a junkyard, and it's not in mint condition, but it's a solid aftermarket bumper. It's got a pretty neat like diffuser, kind of diffuser with like a mesh there in the middle. But Tomei exhaust all the way out, very loud and obnoxious. I did not put that on the car. It's really annoying. Definitely didn't buy this car for the way that it sounds. Let's see. I enjoy the way this thing drives. Yeah. I did buy this car in Virginia Beach from a kid that really neglected the maintenance of it. It had a front wheel bearing that was completely shot. I mean, it sounded terrible. How would you even describe that noise it made?
Two cats getting it on the wheel well.
Okay. It's pretty solid, yeah. So, drove it back 4 hours, gambled on it. Did fine, just made a terrible noise. Replaced that. Brakes were pretty much shot. All of the pins were seized. So like basically none of the calipers were sliding anymore. So I did pads, replaced all the hardware. I think one caliper was, the piston was actually seized in, so I replaced the caliper. Other mods, just an air intake, not even an intake, it's just a aftermarket filter with a heat shield. Megan Racing radiator. Let's see, I had to put a power steering pump on the car when I got it, and just put a serpentine belt on it. And that's really it. What else have we done? Nothing? What else am I missing? I think I've gone over everything.
Okay.
Oh yeah, duh. GKTech, I think, what is it, a V2, V3? V3 angle kit. Front bash bar was very necessary when I bought the car. The entire radiator support you see here, all of this black area, all the way down and back in here, that is all fiberglass, and it's great for weight reduction, but it is not very rigid. It was already pretty busted when I bought the car. I guess the previous owner hit a tire or something on track. If he did drift, he said he didn't do it often. But I smacked a cone with the car. I did not have a front bumper on the car, did not have a bash bar on the car, and it absolutely obliterated what was left of the radiator support. Went ahead and replaced the radiator support. That bad boy was $160. Not a fun part to buy. So I decided, go ahead, get a front bash bar to protect the new one, including my radiator that I spent good money on, and got a jack point up front. And honestly, I despise jacking up cars now that do not have a jack point. It's just so much easier. I don't have to get down on the ground and look underneath and try and line stuff up, watch out for brake lines, yada yada. So, as you can see from the parts on the floor, we are in the middle of installing the GKTech dual caliper bracket here that you see. The two black tabs sticking up, and there's the factory caliper location up here. I do have Megan Racing adjustable arms on the rear of the car, because when you lower the 350Z, it gives you an immense amount of toe in and camber, I believe, negative camber. The toe in is really what kills your tire wear though, so that was a must to get my alignment corrected. But I have the axle out here, and the boot was ripped when I purchased the car. I was aware when I went over the car that this was ripped. It slung out all the grease underneath of the car, made a big mess, and I knew I was basically on borrowed time before this thing went out. I'm going to try and include a video that I took of this still under the car. Clicking very badly. I could hear it when I was accelerating at low speeds, so I knew it was time to replace this bad boy. Rotor, as you can see, I may or may not have done like a minute-long burnout in this car. Basically friction welded the brake pads to the rear rotors once I stopped. It left fused material on the rotor that you can see there, and now you can see there's a very strange wear mark around the entire rotor, because it's basically wiping the brake pads where that material has been left and only contacting the outer edge of the rotor. That's fantastic. And we pull these pads out. These were basically brand new pads. We got, this is possibly the nicest packaging I've ever seen for brake pads. I know this is a goofy thing to show on camera, but I am actually impressed by this. It's the little things in life. Individually packaged. We have our clips here that are painted or coated. I mean, it's just, that's above and beyond. Very nice. So we have new pads. Probably gonna do those in the dual caliper brackets. And then the other box is open here. We have just some run-of-the-mill standard coated rotors, because when your hub area rusts, that really does look like crap, and you can see it between the spokes of the wheel. So we have that. New pads for the regular calipers here that I toasted, and calipers. Those will be the secondary calipers there. And I do have new axles that I just realized I forgot at my house. That's fantastic. So I guess we'll be taking a trip back to my house if we get that far tonight. But other than that, here is the GKTech dual caliper bracket that will be going on the passenger side. We'll get that installed. We'll finish tying in the braided stainless line to my actual hydro cylinder that's tucked in there. I'll show you guys that a little more now. So I removed the radio and the center section. It's basically just a bracket that goes around the shift boot there and has a piece that comes up. And I know this probably looks like crap on camera, but there is the cylinder back there. I have a rag just because I don't trust the plug that is in the top. It was seeping a little bit of fluid when I was bumping the handle a little bit on install, so I just left it like that because it's been in this condition for about a week. Bracket's really nice. The whole kit's just really nice. I really like the kit. I didn't record any more of the install previous to this. I just didn't have the motivation to do it. But I'm finally getting around to recording the progress on this car because we really haven't done much to it. So overall, it's just been a radiator because the stock radiator was damaged. We've got a bash bar, angle kit, adjustable arms in the rear, coilovers, bucket seat. We have a quick release hub with a steering wheel, and other than that, all the parts on the car have just been pretty much maintenance parts. New brakes, of course wheels, you gotta look flossy, and I did need spares for going drifting. So right now I'm using my nice wheels, and then I have one around here somewhere, the stock wheels that came on the car, those ugly things. This one's halfway mounted, but I was in a hurry, didn't have time to finish mounting that. But that's really it. I mean, 350Zs are pretty much out the box drift car. I went to my first 2 events with no angle kit up front, just factory angle, got a feel for the car, realized I was spinning out because I just needed more angle, put angle on the car, and it's entirely changed my experience with driving the car. I recommend it to everyone. It's absolutely fantastic. You got to have angle if you really want to drift. And of course, get a good bucket seat. So get a good bucket seat, get an angle kit, and just go drive. Go drive it. You don't need a hydro starting out or anything like that. I'm just putting a hydro in the car because I feel like I'm ready to start banging doors and running tandems come here pretty soon. So we're going to chip away some more at getting the dual calipers mounted up and get these rotors, new pads put on, add the calipers, and then tie in the rest of these braided stainless lines. And then of course I guess we're going back to my house to get the axles that I forgot. I'm going to install the new brake disc, and once I put the new brake disc on, probably going to test the e-brake function a little bit, make sure these are still adjusted properly. Then I'm going to add my calipers with the fresh pads in here, try and button this up and start disassembling the other side, and I'm going to show you guys that. Alright, so got everything put together here. Factory caliper, we got a brand new rotor on here, and the additional caliper. We have the, let's see if I can get in here, got the stainless braided line routed along here from the trunk of the car to the additional caliper. Just gotta tie that into the other side. Of course, I still don't have my axle. I left the new axles at home. This kind of took me a little longer than what I expected. So what we're gonna do is I'm probably just gonna chill for the rest of the night, call it a night here, head on home, get a good night's rest, grab my axles in the morning, come back, we'll disassemble the passenger side, and then start on assembling that, just so you guys can see me tear that apart, because of course I started this project without recording any of it like a genius. But I will catch you guys tomorrow.